suddenly can eradicate haemophilia. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? Years ago, this could never even been dreamed of. But that has actually happened now. I used to talk about it years ago, and you know, obviously living with it, you think, oh, it's never same old story. But no, it's actually happened, and it's fantastic. Haemophilia is a genetic condition where you have a gene missing that creates the clotting factor in your blood. I'm missing number 9, the majority of people miss number 8, so they call it factor 8 or factor 9. When we used to have injections, it used to put the factor 9 back into our blood, therefore we clot, we wouldn't bruise. The main problem with it is internal bleeding into joints. The cutting and stuff's not too bad, because usually you can put pressure on it, but it's internal bleeding, damage to all your limbs. I was born in 1970, so in them years it was very difficult. Obviously there was no medicine for haemophilia at the time. So it was just direct blood plasma transfer. So as time got into the 80s, that's when the injections started to come out, things like that, it became a lot better, but it's still difficult. If I'd have had a daughter, I think it would have been a 50% chance whether she could have carried haemophilia, and therefore one of my grandchildren could have obviously 50-50 got haemophilia. And I don't know how I would have felt by that, passing it on, but obviously I didn't have 3 sons, so it stopped dead with me. So. The first thing I did when I actually accidentally stabbed myself in the hand, and usually I'd have to go up to the hospital and get a stitch put in, something like that. But after putting pressure on it, it stopped bleeding. I could not believe it. So yeah, so that was sort of my first definition of proof. Even though they told me I was cured, it's still, you got to prove it. I actually went out and got a tattoo. Also, I went out and got a motorbike. I don't know if that's a midlife crisis thing or I just wanted to get a motorbike anyway, but I could never ride motorbikes, things like that when I was younger, so I went out and got that. I was first introduced in the Basingstoke Haemophilia Centre to a consultant called Savita, and I'd done a few studies with her there, and they were quite successful. And then I was asked to go down to Southampton, or switch to Southampton, and carried on doing the studies down there. And they said that there's one where there's a Hope B where it's they're going to do a cure for haemophilia. I was quite confident they'd do something and I wouldn't be hurt. So yeah, I had no qualms about getting involved. For 6 months beforehand, I think we had to do like a psychological study. I think I had an iPad and I used to have to send off information to America or who was ever behind this company to do a psychological profile. Then once that was completed, they just said, right, they give me a date to come in, and that was it. It was a clear liquid. I come in one day and it was like 15 people in a small room like this, all signing different bits of paper, and it took about an hour to infuse. They just put it in my arm, took about an hour to infuse, and that was it, done. Then afterwards, we had to have blood tests every week, I think, and semen test every 3 weeks. I think that was it. A urine specimen every 2 weeks, but it was blood tests every week. I don't know whether that put people off, but I thought that's a small price to pay for what it's given you, so it didn't bother me. All along the way, always had someone there to phone, or if I wanted to pull out, that's no problem. But and once I did have it as well, you could get a bit anxious. You could think, oh, if I got a cold, I think, oh, is it the injection, or is it the, or have I just got a cold? Things like that. And they was always there on the end of the phone. So yeah, no, very supportive, and yeah, it couldn't have been better. What motivated me to take part? I'll be honest with you, I didn't think they'd be able to do it, and I was just like amazed. I've obviously lived with haemophilia for 50 years. I was just really interested where they could do it, and they did it. So the main reason was selfish from the south, but obviously I wanted to help everyone else and get involved in it. So I think there were a few people quite reluctant to get on the trial, and I thought, well, no, I will do it. One, it helps me. Two, it helps others, and let's see if we can do this.